Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Beyond Second Cognition. I'm Beall. The topic of this discussion is humanity's greatest fear. We may lose some subscribers over this video because basically I'm going to tell you where the rubber hits the road. The biggest fear a human being faces is the fear of death. This is why mystical religions sell the way they do. Because no one wants to die. Aside from death, no human being can stand the idea, or not very many, can stand the idea that their personality is not going to survive them after death. This is why all this afterlife stuff keeps selling generation after generation. It's been such a fascination for so long. The theosophist Frederick Meyer once wrote a book about the survivability of the human personality after death. Well, here's the bad news, folks. When you die, you die. The only thing that ever lived on was the Hapim virus cell that lived within you. All of these doctrines about ascension and the heavenly afterlife and getting your mansion in heaven and dancing around the throne of God were part of the instinctive nature of that hive cell wanting ultimately to join the Hapim hive collective while it was still in existence. It was an instinctual desire of this virus to join the heavenly host, and that's what the heavenly host was, the hive. The Hapim virus was like a tape recorder. Once the human being got infected, the hive virus started recording everything about you. So basically, it was nothing but a copycat. It was a mirror representation of your personality. So when the human host died, when you and your body die, your personality dies as well. The only thing that ever lived on to go to the presumed afterlife was the mirror image replica hive cell that lived within you. So it stole your personality and it lived forever. But when you died, you're dead. It's end of story, end of game, no eternal life after the fact. That's the lie of the afterlife legend. Sorry, it's the way it is. In light of this, I ask every one of you to ask yourselves, what makes you think that your personality as a human being is so important that you feel you should have the right to live forever? Look at all of your habits, your hang-ups, your foolishness, your stupidity, and all the lame things that every human does as a human being, and ask yourself, what gives you the mindset that you are entitled for this personality to live forever? I mean, seriously, just imagine the entire cosmos populated with every stupid human personality that ever lived. Well, this is what happened with the hive. The replicas went on, and we have had an eons-long accumulation of idiot humans trying to tell ignorant humans how to live their lives so they could live forever. Now, I know this message is going to irritate some people because nobody has ever asked you such pointed questions. But what is the entitlement mentality that makes you think that you're so special that the universe wants you living forever with this entitlement attitude? Because that's all the afterlife is. It's an entitlement mentality, feeling that you're so special that the universe wants to perpetuate who you are. It's this fear of death that drives this agenda. It's religions that peddle this afterlife mythology to keep you from facing death and keep you from living life as a human being. As long as you have a supposed promise to live forever in the afterlife, you forsake being human. You can do whatever idiotic thing you want to do go to your church, ask for forgiveness. Some priest will say, hey, you're free, go do it again. And then you get a free ticket to the afterlife. Well, this gives people a lot of internal psychological comfort. But I'm here to tell you, and I'm here to bust the bubble. You ain't that special. I'm not that special. The difference between where you are and where I am is that I don't have any illusions that this personality, when this body dies, is going to live forever, anywhere. The human form, the incarnate form, is nothing but a stage prop. It's here for temporary usage, like a rental car. And when the car runs out of gas, then that's it. Humanity, particularly in the West, has a tremendous fear of death, which is why all this hive afterlife malarkey has sold generation after generation. And it sells because people are unwilling to face the idea that one day they're going to die. And when they die, that's the end of the show. There's no reprise. You don't come back as the same person. Even with the reincarnational belief, you come back as a different person. It's not a continuation of the same personality, one life after another. So all of you that are wrapped up in this reincarnation thing, you need to realize this too. Because when this form dies, it's game over. There's no repeat. There's no reruns. Whether you reincarnate or not as another entity somewhere down the road, who you are in this life, when the body dies, the show ends. And because people refuse to acknowledge this, and even Don Juan said that you have death as your companion along your pathway. If you don't want to make friends with death and want to run away from death and embrace these afterlife bogus ideologies, thinking that your personality is going to live forever, you're only deluding yourselves. And while you avoid death, you also avoid life. When you keep looking for an afterlife or some excuse to keep doing the same stupid things you do as human beings, which everybody does, I was no different, then you're avoiding living as a human. And this is what Nietzsche tried to teach. Stay away from all these afterlife peddlers because they're peddling poison. We have so much concern about what happens in the afterlife that we forsake our lives as being human. We don't live our lives except through fear. And death is the big daddy of the whole fear paradigm. You're not going to escape death. Look around you. Nobody on this planet ever stayed. You're not going to stay either. When your body dies, your personality dies. End of story. Suck it up, Buttercup. This is reality. Your personality is not going to live forever. So you could either keep chasing these pipe dreams and afterlife promises that will never be fulfilled for you personally, or you can look around and start living your life as a human being and wearing death as your companion, because nobody escapes death. This is reality. All this divine nonsense was nothing but nonsense. The only thing that ever lived on was the stolen personality, the mimic, the mirror image of your personality that the hive cell adopted. It's like a forever living Memorex tape. But you, when you die, you're dead. And now with the hive virus eradicated and eliminated, there's not even that to live on. So you got one life to live. You have to decide, how are you going to live it? Living in fear and hanging your hat on false afterlife promises, or are you going to live it as a human being, as a caretaker of this planet? Because you don't get a second go-round. When the ride ends at the end of your life, you're done. Sorry. I know this psychologically upsets a lot of you because you've got your hat hanging on that peg for the afterlife, but you're going to wind up dead, and it's going to be the end of the story. There's not going to be any bodily resurrection. You're not going to get the afterlife. When it's over, it's over. I've told you folks that this PSOYCA path is all about pragmatism and facing reality. This is the big reality pill. So, how are you going to live your life? living it on false promises, figuring you get a second chance later for eternity? Or are you going to start living your life like a human being and make the most of what you got while you have it? I ask all of you to deeply analyze this question, because this is reality and this is where rubber hits the road. And for those of you doing the work, stay the course and don't give up on yourselves.